Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason, a vitally important caveat. It's good to have you here tonight. And I wanted to start, first of all, by letting you all know that today, there are a couple of anniversaries today, but I'm going to talk about one first. It is the fourth anniversary of my Substack, The Good in Us. Yeah, it's hard to believe. When I realized that it was the anniversary, I actually thought it had only been 3 years. It's been 4. It has been something of a journey, that Substack. It's something that I started, because I wanted to find different ways to communicate with people. I had already published a couple of books, and I had not yet started podcasting, which I did a couple of months after starting the Substack. And, it took me a bit of time to figure out what I wanted to use that platform for. And I was not always successful, quite honestly. But it has come to be a really wonderful community. I highly encourage you all to go check it out. It's free to subscribe, but we also have monthly and annual paid subscriberships as well. And obviously, much like here, I give my analyses of the situation we find ourselves in. I give my take on things. I give my perspective, sometimes as a human, sometimes as a clinical psychologist. I don't mean to suggest that clinical psychologists aren't also humans. We are. But sometimes as a layperson, sometimes as somebody who pays rather far too much close attention to the political landscape, and of course, sometimes as a family member, as hard as that is to wrap my head around. I often take the opportunity on my Substack to take a step back and talk about the non-political. I talk about art and literature, and sometimes try to connect something I've read or seen that resonates with me as somebody who not just appreciates art, but desperately needs it in my life, to something that might be going on right now. So, if any of that sounds like it's of interest to you, please do go check out The Good in Us. We'll remind you again at the end. And yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 4 years. Speaking of things that should be hard to believe that but aren't, when Hakeem Jeffries was asked today, Hakeem Jeffries, minority leader in the House of Representatives, if Chuck Schumer, minority leader of the Senate, was one, effective, and two, should keep his job, Hakeem Jeffries said yes and yes, which I find deeply troubling. We learned a lot of things about the Democratic Party and the Democratic base over last week. Last Tuesday, we learned that actually not just the Democratic base, but Democrats in general and Americans, even more broadly, understand what's happening to our country and in this country. Last week's election was not an accident. The New York mayoral race, the Virginia and New Jersey gubernatorial races, the statewide Georgia elections, the elections in Pennsylvania for state Supreme Court seats, et cetera, et cetera. Those were not isolated incidents. They were all of a piece. Donald can say all he wants that he wasn't on the ballot, but the fact that Democrats essentially ran the table, turnout was high. In New York City, turnout was higher than it had been in decades. The margins of error were resounding. None of that was accidental. It's because people are paying attention, and people, despite the fact that Donald has a not insignificant minority of people in this country who think otherwise, value their experience, their reality-based experiences over the lies they're being told by Donald and others in the Trump regime. They know inflation is up. They know that their groceries and their gasoline and their rent and the products they buy at big box stores are going up. They know that it's wrong to murder people who happen to be on boats in the Caribbean or in the Pacific Ocean, regardless of what crimes they may or may not have committed. They know that it is wrong to take away anybody's right to due process in this country, whether that person is an American citizen or not. What else did we learn? Well, yesterday we learned that there are enough Democrats, elected Democrats, who still either don't understand the fight we're fighting, they don't understand the stakes, or they're just weak-kneed cowards. It could be some combination of all of those things. True. But I don't take that as a bad thing. This is one of my mantras is it's always better to know. So we know that at least 8 Democrats, and I would add Schumer onto the list because with all due respect, Hakeem Jeffries, Schumer has proven himself to be a weak, ineffectual leader who is not the right man for this time. Anyway, there are at least 9, and I would add Kirsten Gillibrand, and I'm going to forget, but there were a few other Democrats who voted in March with the Republicans to keep the government open, thereby empowering Donald and the Republican Party to wreak the havoc they have wrought in the meantime. So there are probably 12 Democrats in the Senate, certainly, who need to go. Dick Durbin and Angus King, who were 2 of the 8, are retiring, which makes what they did yesterday even less fathomable to me. But the rest of them need to be primaried. And preferably, actually, they need to be forced to resign. Let's get rid of them. We need people in the Senate in particular who will fight for us. I don't know who said this, so I don't like saying things without attribution. Just know that this was not my original thought. It may have been Adam Serwer, who coined the phrase, "the cruelty is the point." So, but I will do my best to find out. Basically, I think it was a post on Blue Sky, possibly Adam Serwer, said, the Republican Party, the elected officials in the Republican Party and elected officials in the Democratic Party are both afraid of the Republican base. Neither elected officials in the Republican Party nor elected officials in the Democratic Party are afraid of the Democratic base. Well, here's what we need to do. We need to make them afraid of us, which is not an insignificant thing to do, because apparently they're not afraid of fascism. They're not afraid of autocracy. They're not afraid of capitulating to a man who has shown his willingness to starve American children just to score cheap political points. They're not afraid of the unspeakable corruption and cronyism that is operative at the highest levels of the American government. They are not afraid of an illegitimate, corrupt supermajority of the Supreme Court that is systematically tearing the Constitution apart and destroying our individual liberties. They're not afraid of those things. We need to be scarier than all of that. We need to make it clear that we will do everything in our power to replace them with the kind of Democrats we deserve. We need to make them understand that this culture of appeasement, this knee-jerk reaction to being bullied, this seemingly characterological defect that constantly has establishment Democrats trying to negotiate with terrorists. This default to capitulate is going to lead to the end of the American experiment. So, if that indeed happens and this history ever gets written, people like Dick Durbin and Chuck Schumer and Merrick Garland and James Comey, the list is much longer than I like for it to be, will be on the list of people who had the power to do something and either did nothing or accelerated the downfall of American democracy. We need to hang all of this around their necks like an albatross. You do. And never let them get away with what they think they can get away with. Because we won't stand for it any more than we are willing to stand for what the Republicans are doing to this country. Okay, I've rambled enough. So I am going to get to your questions and your comments. And etc. And etc. Sorry, it's been a long day. I must hydrate. Okay. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll try to find it. Our friend Bob Seska, friend and co-host of Trek Politics, tweeted, I think it was on Twitter. It might have been Blue Sky. Oh no, it might have been Blue Sky actually. I'll try to track it down for you. It was a picture of Tim Kaine, who was one of the 8 capitulators or appeasers, the Neville Chamberlains of our time. And Bob's post was hysterical, so I'll see if I can track it down for you. All right, let's see. Let's do this thing. Janie comment, as a lifelong resident of Chicago, Illinois, I'm deeply disappointed with one of our U.S. senators. Dick Durbin has been a massive disappointment for years now. The fact that he remained head of the judiciary, or is now, I guess, what do they call it when he's in the minority leader of the judiciary in the Senate, is mystifying to me. He has been asleep at the switch. There was so much he could have done, and he's done nothing. So thanks, Dick. Happy retirement. By the way, retire now, please, so that Governor J.B. Pritzker can appoint an actual Democrat in your place. Thank you. Michael, comment, free pardons for anyone willing to commit crimes in Donnie's name. Clarion of things yet to come. Yeah, it's I'm sure you've all heard that Donald preemptively pardoned many people who committed crimes for him in the lead up to the 2020 election and in the lead up to January 6th. Those pardoned include Rudolph Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, John Eastman, on and on and on. All convicted, not all, but many convicted criminals, others just clearly criminals, even if they haven't been convicted yet. I mean, the good news is that yeah, it's hard to find the good news, but the good news is they can't be pardoned for state crimes. So, that's something. So essentially, I said this before, but I mean, it's even more true with every pardon and every commutation of sentence, etc. It took 4 years, but Donald's insurrection succeeded. Well done. Well done. Vori director. Question, will Adelita get sworn in? I heard that the answer to that question is yes, but that would suggest that we have any reason to believe anything Mike Johnson says. I don't think more excuse could I guess he could just keep refusing to allow the House back in session. But I would also say that if he does swear her in, that suggests to me that he got at least one Republican to change their vote in terms of releasing the Epstein files. Okay, so for context, when Adelita Grijalva won her special election in Arizona, that meant that there would be enough votes in the House of Representatives to order the FBI to release the Epstein files, because I'm not exactly sure how many. I think at least 4 Republicans will vote with Democrats in order for that to happen. Including, unlikely enough, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and some other pretty extreme people over there. So if he is swearing her in again, that suggests to me that we lost 1 vote and maybe more, but we'll see. The fact that he has not sworn her in yet is despicable, and it just is another indication that our system is a deeply flawed and broken one, and we've got to fix it. Philip, and this is the other anniversary I was talking about today, is the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald Memorialized Forever in Song by Gordon Lightfoot. Yes, a song that is extraordinarily long, and when I was a child was constantly on the radio, and I honestly never want to hear that song again. And I don't need to hear it because it's playing in my head right now. Ubiquitous is not enough of a word to describe how ubiquitous that song was. How many verses can one song have without having a chorus? Just it's endless. Anyway, Mary Beth, thank you so very much for that. Comment. I was thinking, I think you mean Kaine, Tim Kaine, Senator of Virginia. Last time I saw Mitch McConnell, he looked dreadfully and confused. I am not celebrating, but can we take his seat when he retires? I'm sorry, that's not clear to me. If you mean Mitch McConnell, first of all, Mitch McConnell's a senator from Kentucky. I think it's highly unlikely we could get a Democrat elected statewide in Kentucky, but I'm not sure. I actually I didn't know. I thought that McConnell had left the Senate already. That's not true. He just stepped down as majority leader. Donna is a super sticker and extraordinarily generous. Thank you, Donna. Kendra, thank you as always for being a super sticker, and for that, much appreciated. Grumpy Cat XX comment. So we have 8 Dem Quislings in the Senate led by What the Chuck Schumer. Yes. Well said. Well said. I hope someday we find out what the fuck is going on with these people. They can't possibly be that stupid. Angus King, independent who caucuses with Democrats for Maine, actually said, I might have the direct quote here. In terms, this is a quote from Angus King, a senator, quote, in terms of standing up to Donald Trump, the shutdown actually gave him more power. So standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power. Shoot me. Don't shoot me, but you know what I mean. Just extraordinary. Ask Una, comment, Minnie Moses Mike Johnson will not commit to a healthcare vote despite the deal struck by Senate Democrats. Hello, Grinder. No, he won't. Like, again, I am so sick to death of the Lucy with the football meme, but we are going to have to bring it back. If Republicans were going to bring this up for a vote, they would have done it already. It's not that complicated. Andrea, question. Did everybody love that Donald was booed at when the idiot went to the football game yesterday? Yeah, I did. And he wasn't just booed. He was behind bulletproof glass, I'm sure, and he was standing there looking out in the crowd, and there were people just doing this, like, right in his face, just feet away from and if he could see it. Unless there's something going on with his vision that we're being lied to about, I don't know. Anything is possible. Erin is a super sticker. Thanks as always, Erin. Broken all broken. Oh yeah, I assume this is about something else, but yes, Donald said he wants his name. He wants the new what are they called? Washington Commanders Stadium to be named after him because there aren't enough things with his stupid name on them. I say that it's my name too, but still, I don't need to see it everywhere. I must hydrate. Please forgive me. Douglas, thank you so much for being a super sticker. And for that, fabulous. And Cindy B, I5C is also super sticker. Thank you for that. Midas Cheryl, thank you as always for gifting one Maritime Media membership. Aaron, again, wow. Thank you. That is extremely generous. Comment, this is my I hate the fucking cold fee, time to hibernate. Yes, it has gotten rapidly chilly here. I mean, I don't know if we're in the same place, but New York City got really cold today, and it's not going to break 42 tomorrow. Also, it's snowing, not here, I wish. It's snowing in the Midwest, like Ohio. Aaron, my goodness gracious, gifted 20 Married Trump Media memberships. Thank you so very much. Grumpy Cat XX. Yes. See if you guys have been paying attention. Antimacassar, syntagmatic, circumlocution, solecism, disambiguation. Does any of those words sound familiar? Well, if not, that means you did not see the video in which I do a reenactment of Donald taking his, diluted version of the MoCA, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, and then I take the actual one. I aced it. Which, by the way, is what you're supposed to do if you are cognitively intact. And cognitively intact doesn't mean intelligent. Intelligent means knowing the difference between an Archimedean and a non-Archimedean solid, or knowing how to repeat fairly complex polysyllabic words, or solving differential calculus equations, or quoting Immanuel Kant. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the video. We had fun. I actually take it in the Oval Office. This is true. Auntie Buddy. Hi. Hello. Question. Does anyone know what's happening to all the people taken by ICE? No one mentions them anymore. Yeah, it's because we don't know. I mean, nobody's talking about it. And that is a very good point. Why is nobody talking about it? And why don't we know? I am sick of not knowing, because not knowing means that something's wrong. It means that not enough is being done. It means that the Trump regime and the Gestapo thugs at ICE are getting away with it. And it means that there are a lot of people who've been disappeared and are being unlawfully detained. So a good question. Another question from Jean. Mary, if you were in Congress right now, would you vote for the party or would you vote for Americans who are hurting right now? Well, okay. I am going to suggest that I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't agree with the way that question is framed. I know um, that it is extraordinarily difficult for millions of Americans right now because of the shutdown, but more importantly, or more directly, because of the Trump regime. People aren't missing out on their SNAP benefits because of the shutdown. Essential workers aren't not getting their salaries because of the shutdown. People aren't getting their SNAP benefits because the government, the people in charge of the government, refused to tap into emergency funds to extend those benefits. And they did that in a cynical attempt to blackmail Democrats into capitulating. So another question would be, is it voting for the party to keep, is it, how do I put this? So either you vote, your question suggests that you think that voting to keep the government open is voting for Americans who are hurting right now. And not voting to open the government is voting for the party. The reason Democrats have stuck to their guns here is because if they vote to reopen the government and the Republicans don't negotiate with them, that means that millions of Americans will lose their health insurance entirely, the Affordable Care Act entirely. Sorry, the ACA. Or their health insurance will become unaffordable to them. I mean, it's horrible. It's all horrible. But reopening the government under those terms means that millions of people will lose health care. If they had let this play out, the courts were on the brink of forcing the Trump regime to release those emergency funds to SNAP beneficiaries, which meant that they would not have had that to hang over Democrats' head. And by voting with the Republicans, what those 8 Democrats did is that they short-circuited that. And by voting with Republicans, they basically changed the subject and they empowered Donald more. And they, there are plenty of Americans who are going to think that it's the Republicans reopen the government and the Republicans are awesome. I understand your point, but capitulating now is very short-sighted and many, 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 many more people will get hurt. And we're in this situation because of Donald and the Republicans, not because of the Democrats. The Democrats just want everybody to get their SNAP benefits and have affordable health care. The Republicans don't want either one of those things. Jenny, question. Is there mental illness in your family? Is it higher in the men? Now there's plenty of mental illness in my family to go around. Let's see. My dad, my grandfather, my father's father, Donald's father was a sociopath, which was fun for all of us. My grandmother had some pretty serious personality disorders. And these are not official diagnoses, but I kind of know my stuff. My grandmother had this dependent personality disorder. She suffered from depression. She also had a lot of physical ailments. I think she had some sort of dissociative disorder. My dad was an alcoholic, probably suffered from depression as well. I don't think I need to tell you about Donald. And probably most of us have post-traumatic stress disorder. I certainly do. So yeah, there's plenty to go around. And that's just my dad's side. Oh, and none of it in terms of my dad's family, none of it was treated or even acknowledged. Daniel, Mary Trump, I have a question for you. Question. If Donald Trump really has dementia, how would that be considered in a court of law? Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really know. But I think I think that they would have to, if you mean if he were charged with some crime and put on trial, they'd have to show his lawyers and doctors would have to show that his dementia was operative at the time he committed whatever the crime was. And I don't. I think. Let's see if we have any lawyers in the chat. Elizabeth, thank you so very much, Elizabeth. Question: now that the Democrats have caved, do you think food stamps will be resumed? Will furlough workers go back, or will your uncle say no? We're going to leave what happened in place now. Well, we don't know that the government is going. The government is not open yet. They haven't voted. There's still the SNAP benefit stuff going through the Supreme Court. I don't know. I think that one thing we learned during the shutdown, well, not during the shutdown, but we've known for a long time, is that Donald does whatever he wants with impunity. So if he decides that he doesn't want to give essential workers or furloughed workers back pay, then he won't. He said he wasn't going to. He threatened air traffic controllers today. And we know that he's sort of he equates the American Treasury with his, as being his own money. So if he can continue to withhold SNAP funds, I don't know. He's going to do whatever he wants. Now, the question is sometimes, why does he want to do that thing? Clearly, he doesn't care how it impacts the Republican Party. That we know. Lee, thank you very, very much. Question: do you think it's fair for the BBC to be sued for $1 billion on the grounds of lies by someone who wouldn't recognize truth? It was covered in spikes, coated in chili powder, and shoved up his raggedy arse. My word. Oh, that's a pound sign. So yes, arse it is. Oh, it's absurd. I mean, I don't know about this, so I'm just guessing you're talking about the fact that BBC aired a documentary or some show in which they people associated with were alleged to have edited to make Donald's complicity in January 6th more pronounced or something. I'm not really sure. He incited an insurrection, so I'm not entirely sure how that's wrong. He sued Paramount, which owns CBS, which has 60 Minutes for $1 billion. And Paramount, the cowards at Paramount settled and just threw $16 million at him to make it go away because they wanted a merger to go through and they needed governmental approval. So no, it's not fair, but Donald's insane and that's what he does. He just sues people. He sues corporations in the hopes that they will settle with him and throw money his way. I mean, he's suing me for $100 million. So it shouldn't surprise us that he's going to go after a big, rich corporation because they edited something, because he's done it before. That's just his way. It's quite sad. Jana, hello. Question. I owe you a real question for a change, so here you go. Question. How is it so easy for people who I know have benefited from government assistance to be so angry at those who need SNAP to the point of mocking them? Because a lot of people are cruel and ignorant and selfish. They only care about their own bottom line and their own self-interest. So it's sort of like there are women out there who have had abortions and then they become anti-choice. Wow. Good for you for having gotten this procedure that changed the course of your life. But now you're going to deny it to other people. It's just hypocrisy. And I don't know, maybe they feel bad that they had to get government assistance, but that's what government is for. And this is the thing that drives me crazy. When people are railing against the government, who do you think the government is? The government is us. It's us. It's for we pay into it. It's there to protect our rights and our interests. That's what it is. Like, who do we think the people we vote for represent? They represent us. They work for us. At least they're supposed to. Republicans don't do that, but that's a story for another time. Also, most people don't understand because we keep them so ignorant. Most people don't understand how the government even works, which is why you will sometimes see people carrying signs that say, "Keep the government out of my Social Security." If it weren't for the government, you wouldn't have any. So, Maureen, thank you so much for that and for being a super sticker. And Lachlan, thank you as well for being a super sticker and for that. Fabulous. Mary the Jedi. Cool name. Thank you very, very much. Question. If Adelita Grijalva is sworn in and Congress orders the FBI to release the Epstein files, what makes you think that they will, considering that Kash Patel is the head of the FBI? Yeah, I don't think they will. Or it will be so heavily redacted, or there will be all sorts of pages missing or whatever. I would hope at that point, some whistleblower with access to it would just release them to the New York Times or something. But at the very least, like if they are ordered to and don't, it will go to court and people will be aware of just how desperate the Republicans, especially Donald, are to keep this, under wraps. So I don't think that would go well for them. But I have to admit, I'm a little surprised that somebody hasn't released the files already. But Kash Patel never will. Sherry, thank you so very much for being a super sticker and for that generous gift. In the middle of nowhere, thank you as always. Comment, love the Mocha reenactment. Thank you. That was really fun. I learned more than I ever wanted to know about Archimedean solids and truncated dodecahedrons. Comment continues. I must add low IQ Crockett passed the bar exam. Could he? Donald couldn't pass the Mocha. So no. No. Listen, there's a reason he keeps being asked to take it. Because there are serious concerns. And again, the Mocha, it's a cognitive assessment. It's not an IQ test. It doesn't ask you it doesn't ask you to solve equations or process information at a high level or no it literally says, here's a picture of an animal. Can you identify the animal? Oh, that's a lion. Can you say, I'm going to say 5 numbers. Can you repeat them to me in order? Okay. Like that's the level. That's the difficulty level of the questions asked. Sheila 3444. Thank you very much. Comment. It snowed in Lake Placid. Mary, thanks for everything you do for us. Hopefully some of the blind will see. I hope so too. Again, I think last night was tough, but that's 8 Democrats. That's not all of us. And we should not be demoralized because last Tuesday mattered a lot. And I actually think that those 8 Democrats will have done us a favor because we know now. That's so cool that it snowed up there. It doesn't snow here anymore. It makes me sad. Barb, thank you very, very much for that. Carrie, thank you for being a super sticker and for that. Greg, NZ1 question, did Donald really stiff restaurants? Donald has stiffed everybody over the course of his lifetime. Contractors, salespeople, the American people, all of the people. He's a grifter and a skinflit, and he thinks that he's the only person who deserves money, and he lives by my grandfather's maxim. The more I have, the more I'm worth. If I give something to you, I will be worth less and you will be worth more. And that is not a thing that can happen. My entire family was a zero-sum game, and that was a problem because the only thing that mattered was money. So everything, everything was in short supply, and only one person could have everything. But because money was literally the only currency, what did that mean? That means that Donald may have gotten all the money, but, well, not all of it, but most of it. He didn't get anything else. And now we are all living with the consequences. Okay, that does it for tonight's episode of Ask Barry Anything Within Reason. I am going to hydrate quickly. My apologies. It's very dry in here. Thank you to everybody watching on YouTube, watching the stream on Twitter, Substack, and TikTok, perhaps? No? Well, someday. Someday. Also, to everybody listening to the podcast, thank you to all of our super stickers, everybody gifting memberships, all of our new members, and of course, all of those of you who donate. We so appreciate it. If you're looking for easy ways to support us, just please subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 490,000 subscribers, which is, not where we want to be, but we're getting there slowly, very slowly, but surely. Another thing you could do is watch our pre-recorded videos, because although we have lives Monday through Friday, we also have pre-recorded videos twice a day, 7 days a week. So watch those, like them, share them, comment on them. As mentioned, we have one about the cognitive assessment Donald keeps bragging about. We also have one about what happened last night with the Dems and what that means, and many more. To our moderators for just being so incredibly good at what you do. We appreciate it every single day. And of course, to my most amazing team for being most amazing. It's really cool to get to work with people like you guys. So thank you. All right, that does it for us. I will see you all tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern for Mary Trump Live. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.